This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Zenyatta is starting to move now. Here comes Zenyatta. She's caught about 5 wide, but she's coming gamely. Hysterical Lady gets the lead to Santa Teresita. Grandstand side, Zenyatta. She knows she's in a race today, but just look at her. Zenyatta around the outside now strikes the front. And it's Zenyatta coming away. Music Note running on gamely. Cocoa Beach down at the rail. Zenyatta's going to come home to score. Undoubtedly now, a living legend. Zenyatta 9 for 9.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Asano. On this morning's show, a couple of champions. We'll miss the Saratoga meet. We'll recap last Saturday's Whitney and see if Frosted could back up his big effort in the Met Mile. You just watched Hall of Fame inductee Zenyatta capture the 2008 Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic. Well, more Zenyatta and Rachel going to the internal breaks. And we will welcome in 3 very special guests, beginning in just a couple of moments with Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen. He will be followed by fellow Hall of Famer Ramon Dominguez, and finally, trainer Graham Motion, who will send out Ring Weekend later on in the 4-Star Dave. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our August 13th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. They've won twice at the current meet with Alabama Bound and Cliffs of Dover. For information on their partnerships, visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Call them locally at 587-5550 or toll free at 877-722-3946. Good morning once again on a rather humid Saturday morning here at Saratoga, but no rain as of this point. Congratulations to all of the latest inductees into racing's Hall of Fame. Now, a pair of champions will unfortunately not run at this meet. Tepin, last year's champion turf female, will not make the August 27th Ballston Spa's Hope. She will now be pointed for the September 17th Woodbine Mile, which would be her first start since capturing the Queen Anne Stakes at Royal Ascot back in mid-June. And her jockey, Julien Leparoux, will be sidelined 3 to 4 weeks due to a non-displaced fracture of his left wrist. He should be, and he certainly wants to be, back in time for the Woodbine Mile. Now, the other champion who will miss this meet is Nyquist, last year's top 2-year-old male, who is coming off a disappointing 4th in the recent Haskell. He's going to bypass the Travers. He is still being pointed to the Breeders' Cup Classic, but how Doug O'Neill gets him there is currently in question. And finally, Unified, who looked so good winning the Peter Pan and the Bayshore earlier this year, is done for the rest of the year. His trainer Jimmy Jerkin says the colt will be freshened for a 4-year-old campaign in 2017. The big one last week, the Whitney featuring Frosted, the ultra-impressive winner of the Met Mile and last. And the legitimate question about Frosted was, could he back up that surprisingly great effort in the Met going 2 turns here in the Whitney? Frosted, number 4, was the 1-2 favorite. Number 6, FNX, making his 3rd start in the past 7 weeks, was the second choice at 4-1. So we'll take a look if Frosted could back up that Met Mile performance as we take a look at the Whitney and the call from Larry Colmus.
They're all in line, ready for the start. They're off in the Whitney. And Frosted goes right out to the early lead. And Upstart is sent along by a Rat Ortiz Jr. from the inside. He wants the front, and he'll get it in the race to that first turn. And there goes Noble Bird on the outside of Frosted now. And they're second and third, and they appear to be moving right along up front. Frosted has taken the lead here as they head to the backstretch. And on the outside, Noble Bird will be second. Upstart is taken back at a 23 flat opening quarter mile. They are absolutely flying early on. FNX is running in fourth position. Mike Smith has FNX 3.5 lengths off the lead. And El Kabir is right at the back of the pack with comfort. 6 lengths behind this grueling pace set by Frosted up front. Frosted heads up the backstretch through a 46 2/2 mile. And he leads it by 3/4 of a length over Noble Bird. Upstart is third on the inside, and FNX is in a perfect stalking spot in fourth with a half mile to go. He's 2.5 lengths off the lead. It's 5 lengths more to Comfort and El Kabir. Frosted leads the way on the far turn. He has gone 3/4 in 1:09 3. And Frosted is coming toward the top of the stretch in front. And there goes FNX to the outside of Noble Bird into second. Upstart is fourth. And they're into the stretch. And Frosted yet to be let loose here. He is still in hand as they come into the final furlong. Joel Rosario's not even asking him to go at all. He's in front by 2.5 lengths. And then comes FNX on the outside. A late bid from Comfort down toward the rail. It's Upstart. But Frosted has won with ease in the Whitney.
Well, I guess he did back it up. Frosted for Kieran and Joel Rosario dominates the Whitney as he scores nearly wire to wire by a comfortable 2 lengths over Comfort, who was making his stakes debut in Upstart. 9 furlongs, 147.77. Frosted was taken to the lead early by Rosario, something which has never been his style. But when you're doing this well, apparently you can handle most anything. And it wasn't like the pace was conservative. It was fast. 46.42, 109.65. But Frosted looked comfortable throughout while being hounded by expected frontrunner Noble Bird. Momentarily turning for home, it appeared that FNX would offer a challenge, but that was short-lived as he faded to fourth. In the end, it would be all Frosted, who won with what appeared to be something left. I don't know what has happened with Frosted since he returned from Dubai, but he is a different animal. The colt, who was a poor 7th in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic and a mediocre 5th in this year's Dubai World Cup, has turned into a monster, at least up to 9 furlongs. Now, this is August, and the Breeders' Cup is not until early November. How does Kieran get Frosted to the Classic with the best chance of winning? Does he use the Woodward at the end of this meet, then give him plenty of time to the Classic? Does he use the Jockey Club Gold Cup as a prep, then have a little less time to the Classic? Does he ship to Santa Anita for the Awesome again to give Frosted a race over the track? Or does he train him to the Classic? I don't personally like the latter, since it's 13 weeks between the Whitney and the Breeders' Cup Classic, but Frosted has never been better, and he successfully backed up his monstrous win in the Met with another beauty last week here in the Whitney. Congratulations to Kieran, Joel Rosario, and the entire staff on that wonderful, wonderful victory. Now, the undercard feature on Whitney Day was the test. 3-year-old fillies going 7/8. Can you say pace meltdown? After a blazing opening half in 43.50 caused by off-the-tracks pressing favorite Carina, the test became a matter of who was good enough to make the last run. Number 6, Lewis Bay, who to me was closer to the early pace than expected, finished a mediocre 4th. Number 5, Lightstream, looked like a winner late, but simply wasn't good enough. In the end, it would be number 1, Paula Queen, dismissed at 55-1, who would get up very late for a 3/4 length shocking upset of the test for Gustavo Delgado and Luis Saez. Congratulations on that big victory. But the filly I came away most impressed with was third-place finisher Off the Tracks, pressing that ridiculously fast early pace and still getting beaten only a length. Big effort, but will it take its toll on Off the Tracks as Paula Queen upset the test at $112? And we are up to our first break on this August 13th edition of the show. When we return, Mr. Steve Asmussen will join us as we go to this break. Hall of Famer Rachel Alexandra's first race for her new connections, the 2009 Preakness. Now, Rachel, unfortunately, had drawn the extreme outside post. She is number 13 in here. So we will take a look at the 2009 Preakness to the break. Back with Steve Asmussen right after these messages.
Ready for the start. And they're off on the Preakness. Big Drama gets off to a good start. Muskin Man is there too. Here's Rachel Alexandra on the far outside. Pioneer of the Nile. And Friesen Fire has some early speed too. So they pass by for the first time. And Velasquez is taking Big Drama well out into the track. Farthest out though, it is Rachel Alexandra. Taken a bit wide going into that first turn here. Friesen Fire is third. Pioneer of the Nile is fourth. Take the points is fifth on the outside as the filly gets floated wide. Then Papa Clem was down sixth toward the rail. General Quarters is seventh and Musket Man is eighth. And then it's Tone It Down is winning ninth on the outside. A break of five back to Wayne Lucas's two runners, Flying Private and Love Go. And they're followed by Terrain and Mind That Bird. The Derby winner, where he was in the Derby at this point, he is last. Now about 12 lengths from the lead. Strong enough is the pace for him to run into. It was a 46 3/2 mile, and the filly's in front. She's in front early on here. Rachel Alexandra narrowly. Big Trauma still going to stay right with her all the way. Friesen Fire looms back in third position. Half mile to go in the Preakness. On the inside, Papa Clem runs along in fourth. Far outside, Pioneer of the Nile. Now running in fifth. From the back of the pack, Mind That Bird. 13th, 12th, 11th, and he's 10th now. And there's 3 furlongs to go. Mind That Bird beginning to roll. Around the far turn here at Pimlico. Rachel Alexandra, the leader by 2 as the field turns for home. Big Drama running in second now. Mind That Bird looks for a way through, and he had to go way outside for it. Musket Man toward the inside. Rachel Alexandra's in front with 1 furlong to go. Musket Man moves to second. Mind That Bird is third on the outside. The filly trying to hold on. She's clear by 3. Mind That Bird runs at her late. Here's the wire. And the filly did it. Rachel Alexandra has defeated the Kentucky Derby winner, Mind That Bird, by 3/4 of a length. Musket Man was third. The final time was 1:55 flat. A magnificent victory, an exquisite filly, and a thrill to see.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner. You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga.
And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Get 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano and Rachel Alexandra for Steve Asmussen and Calvin Burrell over Derby winner Mind That Bird and Musket Man to capture the 2009 Preakness. Our first guest this morning, well, he trained back-to-back-to-back Horses of the Year and two-time winner Curlin, as well as Rachel. He ranks second on the list of career victories. He's got a legitimate shot for another one later this afternoon in the Adirondack with Ever So Clever. And, oh yes, he was inducted into Racing's Hall of Fame yesterday. We welcome back to Down the Stretch, Mr. Steve Asmussen. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your wife gave the speech.
Yes.
Your boys came up on stage with you. That had to be a very special and quite emotional time.
Very much so. Racing has always been a family sport for the Asmussens, and for to be honored in such a way and to have all of your family there to share in it was wildest dreams. It's what you dream about when you're a kid trying to do this.
When you started, and we're talking about basically 30 years ago, did you ever dream of getting into the Hall of Fame? Was that realistic?
When you're Cash's little brother, you dream of everything. Yeah. I mean, anybody who's had the pleasure of meeting my older brother Cash, his confidence level is second to none about everything. He, and just born into the perfect circumstances. Both my parents, great horsemen. My older brother's just the greatest talents anybody's ever seen, and it was just the big beneficiary of it all.
That's great. And your mom and dad were there yesterday.
Yes.
And that had to be awfully special.
Well, very much so. Couldn't even get the words out to properly thank them, but looking at them on the screen as we speak, you got to look away, or but to have them here for such a proud moment for the whole family is a dream come true.
That's wonderful. You went in yesterday with, among others, Rachel Alexandra. We just watched her first race for you in the 2009 Preakness. What'd you think of her after her first race?
I had run against Rachel several times her 2-year-old year. Watched her train. She is she had rose above everybody else long before the Oaks, and then I think that the Kentucky Oaks was for Mr. Wiggins was her crowning moment, and just what were you witnessing? And for as it was discussed afterwards, listening to all the interviews and stuff, she wasn't Triple Crown nominated. They had no plans of running her in either one of the next Triple Crown races, and I think that how you felt about that or whatever as a fan, you were just watching it, but obviously Mr. Jackson thought she was the best horse out there and gave her a chance to prove it. For us to run her, I think probably 9 days after she came into the barn in the Preakness, and you were just wanting everything to be right under those circumstances, but the overwhelming memory I have of it is when we walked out of the holding barn at Pimlico to walk over for the Preakness. I'd never been a part of a horse race that percentage of people were on one horse's side. We'd had a tremendous run with Curlin the 2 previous years, but you had your corners, and when it worked out your way, you were still a little careful with what you said,
right,
out of respect for competition and everything. But with Rachel, people you ran against were on her side.
How about that?
Yes.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention Hal Wiggins. What a great job he did.
Oh, absolutely. I think that the good fortune that we've had has been brought on to us by the talent of the horses we've been lucky enough to have.
What made Rachel so very special?
I think that she was very aware of who she was. I mean, from our time with her and stuff, she walked in the barn a queen. She walked out of the barn a queen. It was her world. We were just living in it.
Did she know she was special?
Very much so. I'd obviously been very fortunate to train great horses, and I've never been around one that so many people watched her do everything. When you walked her in the afternoon, she had more of an attendance than some racetracks get. But in training days she would breeze. She had her fan club that loved and adored her, and she accepted it, and she came through for us.
Well, as racing fans, we all owe the late Jess Jackson a debt of gratitude because, you know, chances are, had she not been purchased by Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, she would have not raced against the boys. That was big time stuff. Preakness, Haskell, Woodward, which we're going to look at going to the next break. What's your absolute fondest memory of Rachel?
Well, it's obviously with being fortunate enough to be inducted into the Hall of Fame the same year as Rachel, that has been a topic of conversation all summer. And I think it was my fondest memory was after she had won the Woodward, standing in the winner's circle trying to do the interview and being completely distracted by the thousands of people following her the length of the stretch, and just the feeling of how proud you were.
That was an incredible day here 7 years ago.
The race, the preparation to the race was so nerve-wracking. You know, she had won the Preakness and proved what needed to be proved from a 3-year-old to a Triple Crown race. She had run one time and, you know, kind of more so. She ran in the Preakness off Mr. Wiggins' training, 100%. We just basically carried on and led her over there. And then for our first time for preparing her pretty much was the Mother Goose. So I did, you know, when Mr. Jackson and Barbara and John Moynihan were talking about what we'd planned on doing with her after the Preakness, me and Scott said, let us run her again in her own division once to see if there's anything we would like to tweak with her training, with her preparation, with her works, you know, going forward. And you saw how she dominated her division in the Mother Goose. I mean, you know, growing up in racing, I mean, you know, you're watching Ruffian. I mean, how the live version, you know, bigger, better, stronger. However, you know, in the Mother Goose. So our confidence level going into the Haskell was just through the roof.
Did you have to tweak anything?
Yeah, we had to get out. Yeah,
get out of her way.
Yeah, tweaking. Rachel, we learned, was completely get out of the way, step back and watch and adore. That's how you trained Rachel, and her Haskell win was tremendous. But off of that, knowing that the plan was the Woodward and older boys here at Saratoga, and the circumstances of Saratoga is however much pressure you want to put on anything, magnified by 10.
That's right.
But it would rain every day. I mean, it was rain. It felt to me like it rained 24/7 between the Haskell and the Woodward. And you know, are you getting anything out of what we're doing because you're being a little careful over the surface and the training? And so, the preparation between the Haskell and the Woodward, knowing 3-year-old filly against older males in a Grade 1 Graveyard of Champions, nickname came long before we showed up, is pretty daunting. So. Tom Durkin, you know, this is a booming voice, 22-4 for a quarter. You about fell out. You know, you pretty much had to watch the rest of that between your fingers like a scary movie. You know, and for the way that she had, you know, the style in which she won and just gave it her all. And then so the race itself and the people's reaction to it, you know, and afterwards. So the moment when she was walking back down, the length of the stretch, you know, to watch everybody just know that they would just witness something they're most likely never going to see again.
The two horses who went after her that day in the Woodward were Datara and Past the Point, and they went after her hard. Datara ended up being eased, and Past the Point, who went after her down the backstretch after setting a perfect trip, got beat 18 lengths. That says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just she gave us her all, and we're very thankful for that. And it's a moment that we are reliving. I mean, 7 years later, like it just happened 5 seconds ago.
Well, we're going to show it again going to the next break. Before Rachel, you trained a pretty good racehorse in Curlin. What was it like to train Curlin?
Well, Curlin was the strongest horse I've ever come in contact with, mentally, physically, anything. I think that he came along in a very fast year. You looked at how fast everybody was running, the accomplishments that they were. And he may not have had everything put together from an experience standpoint, and there was absolutely zero room for error with his group. But within his group, every time they ran out of their category or not against each other, they dominated, regardless who it was. We're talking hard spun, street sense, and him. But I think the one thing that when you look back on Curlin's career, the horses that truly ran against him never showed up again. He had a strength that I thought intimidated everything around him, and there will never be another Curlin, and I'm so proud to see how he carries on that same characteristic in his offspring that is so unexplainable. That is, you know, you see them winning. I think he's had 4 separate individual Grade 1 winners this year, out of such different backgrounds and such different places and different purchase prices. I do believe that Curlin is passing along an inner strength and a characteristic that is not obvious or definable to the human eye.
He didn't like the synthetic at Santa Anita, did he?
Well, my feelings on Curlin, you know, on synthetic or even the grass try,
right,
would telling Curlin how to run or what to run would be like telling Michelangelo what colors to use. I mean, it just, in training him, he was that way as well. I mean, he did not suffer fools at all. He needed the same people around him all the time. He was not into anybody doing anything different or at a different time.
Well, it's back to work this afternoon. You got a nice filly for the Adirondack by the name of Ever So Clever. We are about to take a look at her lone career start. Came in a July 1st maiden at Churchill. For our audience, she is number 1 in here. Tough post this day. What'd you expect?
Well, Ricardo Santana rode her for us that day. She's a very talented filly. Came out in the paddock, and I said, you know, the one draw is a bad spot for her. She's not very quick away from the gates, and it won't matter anyway. You know. And
it won't matter anyway?
Yeah, she's extremely talented filly, and she's going to have a huge future.
Wow. That's saying a lot.
We'd run fillies that she was better than that had already beat similar groups.
So even with because let's face it, a lot of times in baby races early in the year, it's who's the most precocious, who's got the most speed, but this wasn't that case.
Well, in most circumstances, you're measuring, you know, the difference between first and fourth being a couple lengths, couple lengths here and there, and under those circumstances, anything you give away, you're not capable of overcoming. But I think it's just like once the level of competition moves up, the spot you want's taken. You know, at a lower level, you get their ability allows them to be in the spot you want them to be.
So would it be fair to say you knew she wasn't going to have a lot of early speed? Does that potentially mean you would expect she's going to get better as she stretches out?
I think that she's, as I mentioned, a filly with a very bright future, but I think her future is 2 turns. The Adirondack, as important of a race as it is a bridge for her to 2-turn racing. I think that the 1 3/4 mile race, you know, or end of June, early July, now looking at, it'll put us in position for the fall that we, you know, I believe that all of our races going forward from here will most likely be 2 turns.
Describe her for us, if you would. Take a moment. What's she look like physically?
She's an absolutely beautiful specimen, nice tall filly. I think that, you know, right now, from a handicapping point of view, would be more of a vulnerable stage for her because she's being a bit growthy.
Okay.
And while she's growing, you're not leaning on her in her training as much as she will be able to take in the future. But I think it's all part of the development. I'm not going to overreact to how it happens today. I like her draw. I think Johnny's the perfect fit for her because of the quality horses he's rode in the past and the fact that he's not going to ride her today like it's the end of the world.
Right. So this could be something special. Ever so clever.
I think that you know, all of us in training and in horse racing, these are the opportunities that you look forward to. But you have to put yourself in a position now that doesn't eliminate your future.
Right.
You know, and I think that asking her for more than she's ready to do mentally or physically would hinder the tail end of this. I mean, to talk about Rachel and then mention a 2-year-old you're not even in the same world with. But we are aiming at that, and it is very comfortable to have had horses that got to that level in the past. But I actually, we beat Rachel in her first race ever, but not with a Rachel. Yeah. It's just timing and circumstances.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Saratoga Special. You run Tip Tap Tapazar, distant third in the Bashford Manor and last.
He was, run off his feet in the Bashford Manor. Very fast race. Best running of the Bashford Manor I can remember in several years. I think he ran really well first time out. I think that the speed of the Bashford Manor, is a bit surprising to him, but I love how he's responded. He stayed in the feed of his training's been consistent. Good. He didn't get overly wound up over it, and I do think that he'll move forward, but he will have to move forward to have success.
In a couple of weeks, the Travers, and Steve is preparing 2 for it, beginning with Creator, the winner of the Belmont Stakes. He overcame, I don't know if people put enough credence into this. That was a tough poster Jew that day, and you got, in my opinion, a perfect ride. How exciting was it to win the Belmont?
As you mentioned, it was perfect. The win was perfect. I think the ride was... the subtleties of what Irad did in the race, standing there watching it, the disappointment of the Derby, after, you get your 13th in the Derby with your trip or whatever, nobody wants to hear it. I mean, it's just, you're not, however it happens, preparing him for the Belmont, you just wanted him to be in a similar position physically to do it. I thought that I was very happy to see the horse off such a bad trip in the Derby still stay in it mentally, and I think that Elliot had come over and we'd watched him go, and the thing I thought pretty unique about the Belmont is that great race to win, horrible race to lose. To ask that much of them, you're looking at taking 2 or 3 races out of them as opposed to just one if it doesn't go your way. So with all that being said, drawn 13, Gettysburg in there, obviously, for the obvious reason that you don't want the scenario of the Jim Dandy. I mean, I think that you see, pace making the race. But when we ran Curlin in the Belmont, I think they went 3/4 and 15. They come home 47 and 4. Avoid those circumstances. Right. Make it a true run race. Right. And nothing, 48 and change is not running anybody off their feet, but at least gives a little bit of separation for horses that they have enough room to run. I thought Irad's move going into the first turn, when he just backed off just enough to not get hung 4 wide, right. Moved him over to the rail, let him accelerate up into a position that allowed him over that distance of ground to at least be in striking position. He inched forward. I thought when there was considerable traffic at the quarter pole, he didn't overreact to any of it, didn't get in any hurry trying to get out, aimed forward and straight. And as you mentioned, it worked out perfectly for him to be up the only time that it mattered, the last jump.
Now, the Jim Dandy. We know there was no pace in the race. Was that the only reason he ran below par? Was there any problem with him afterwards? What's your assessment of his effort in the Jim Dandy?
I think, it's completely a bad race. I like how he's trained since. The one breeze that he's had since, his energy level was really good. Okay. So I think that he will try to earn back all the admiration that he got previously. He's an extremely intelligent horse. I think that the pace not being good at all, I think that with his, as we talk about him being intelligent, kind of when they accelerated away from him in the second turn, it wouldn't be too surprising as him to say it's not our day. Okay. Okay. I do think that true closers like him, I think when they catch that first one, it kind of builds it up to it, and they get a little more, put a little more effort into it. When watch the race from past the wire, because of the pace scenario being so important to the race, They looked like they could have broke into a jog going into the first turn. It wasn't your day. The main thing was he came out of it good, and I loved his breeze back. I'm very concerned with the weather over the next few days to get in us what we feel is necessary for him to run his optimum race. But the Travers is straight 3-year-olds at 1.25 miles. Who would you rather have than Creator to run under those circumstances?
Gunrunner was a fine third in the Kentucky Derby. He won, the Matt win at Churchill, but was kind of a disappointing effort in the Haskell. Was that strictly due to the sloppy track, in your opinion, or was something else involved?
With the Jim Dandy on Saturday and the Haskell on Sunday, I'm going to go with it wasn't my week.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Gunrunner's a very fast, talented horse, trains visually impressive. Leading up to the Derby, everybody was impressed with how fast he works, how easily he does, and that is the athlete that we're lucky enough to be training in Gunrunner. In the Haskell, I thought, a little rough going to the first turn. We probably didn't use the Matt win as good as we should have, in the fact that in the Derby we asked him to clear them early. You're 20 runners, 5-hole, you feel like you have enough ability to have a chance in the Derby. I thought Curlin was eliminated by traffic. It happens.
Right.
You lose a head, you lose a neck. I mean, there's such a domino effect in the Derby. Had him pretty sharp. He broke cleanly. Florent did exactly what needed to be done with him in the Derby. Clear them the first 16th of a mile, let the race unfold, get your position. But we did have him a little keyed up. Matt win, overmatched field, just let him lope around in front of him like a breeze. But it had him a little keen at Haskell for how quick they went the first quarter. Nyquist obviously doing exactly what he was supposed to from his draw, moved out, American Freedom not giving any room, got him a little rank, being squeezed between those horses. Thought he moved up in hand, but when the run-in started, it looked like he dropped the bridle. Florent riding him. Florent's a very good horseman. I love his feedback. He's, our conversation afterwards, because you just don't want to be wrong. If you don't belong in that spot, don't be there. But felt that last year, the fall previously in the Kentucky Jockey Club looked similar. He got there at the quarter pole carrying Ricardo that day, but when he went to riding, just didn't finish with the runners of the race, as well as in the Haskell. But the thing I thought was interesting, Florent said after the Haskell, was even when he was tired in the Risen Star, his first race off the layoff, and when he was tired in the Derby, he was still up underneath him.
Right.
He was carrying him. He was tired, but he was carrying him. And in the Haskell, he said when he came off the bridle at the 3/8 pole, legs went everywhere.
Okay.
I am surprised that Gunrunner doesn't handle a sloppy track as athletic as he is to train, but he does run with his head a bit low, and maybe that's all that is the difference with why he doesn't handle a sloppy track.
Well, Steve, it has been a lot of fun this morning, and I know the audience has enjoyed reminiscing about Rachel and Curlin, and congratulations on a great honor.
Thank you very much.
It can be a life-changing event, and we want to express our thanks by giving you this $100 gift certificate to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill. It's at 38 High Rock Avenue, downtown Saratoga. Take the family. They're open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, beginning at 11:30. If you get lucky, you might see Mr. Guillot there, and
hear a good story.
Yes, and enjoy. Enjoy. I know people are going to be stopping you for months to come. Congratulating
I
you.
hope they do. Thank you very much.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Steve Asmussen, ladies and gentlemen. We are up to our next break. When we return, Mr. Ramon Dominguez will join us. As we go to this break, the 2009 Woodward, one of the great days in Saratoga history. 3-year-old filly Rachel against older males. So we'll take a look at the 2009 Woodward to the break. Back with Ramon Dominguez right after these messages.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Past the point on the outside to tear it down toward the rail. Rachel Alexandra is right up there with them. And Cool Coleman on the outside. So they race into the first turn here. Rachel Alexander will duel with Daterra. On the far outside, past the point is right there. And in behind, Cool Coleman. A break of 3. Back to It's a Bird, another 3. Back to Bulls Bay, who's on hold early on here. Asiatic Boy, and another 7 to Macho again, who trails the field. Oh, the first quarter was 22 4/5 seconds. There'll be no free ride for Rachel Alexandra. They're making her work for every step today. Daterra has sent her through a punishing opening quarter mile. Past the point on the outside, runs along in 3rd. In behind them, Cool Coleman is 4th. It's a Bird 5th on the outside in Bulls Bay. 46 2 was the half mile. Calvin Burrell was able to slow that pace down just a little bit, but they move into the far turn. There's a half mile to go. Rachel Alexandra still holding that lead. Past the point, trying to get to her. The lead is now a length. On the inside, it is Cool Coleman running in 3rd. It's a Bird is 4th. Asiatic Boy is launching a bit from the back of the pack, and Macho again is firing too. They're coming to the top of the stretch. It is still the filly in front. A dramatic stretch drive awaits in the Woodward Stakes. On the outside, here's Bulls Bay and Calvin Morrell imploring his filly for more. And Rachel Alexandra holds on to the lead. Bulls Bay is 2nd. Macho again is making a tremendous run for the back of the pack. Rachel Alexandra, Macho again. They're coming down to the finish. It's going to be desperately close. Here's the wire. Rachel won. She is indeed Rachel Alexandra the Great, beating Macho again here. And farther back, Bulls Bay was 3rd. The time was 1:48-1. Rachel Alexandra raises the rafters here at the Spa.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Can you hear it? It's the sound of excitement. Something we infuse into every grape that goes into our exceptional full-bodied wine. That was closer than I thought it would be. Now, if you'll excuse me. 14 hands, where great times are made.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Steve Asmussen once again for having joined us. And the great Rachel Alexandra, despite being hounded throughout, beat older males in the 2009 Woodward, the first filly to ever win the Woodward. Our next guest, well, he rode the second filly to ever win the Woodward in Horse of the Year, Havre de Grace. He won nearly 5,000 races during his magnificent career, 3-time Eclipse Award winner, and now a Hall of Famer. We welcome to Down the Stretch, Mr. Ramon Dominguez. Ramon, welcome to the show, and congratulations.
Thanks very much.
How was it yesterday? Was it everything you imagined it would be?
It was amazing. It's one of those things that you think that you know how it's going to be, but of course I don't think that you can quite prepare for the excitement and really the moment, and it was incredible.
And your friend and former agent Steve Rushing gave the speech. That had to be very special.
That was very special. I'm glad that he was the person who introduced me, because he, as you saw at the end of my speech, he's the person who I dedicated the award, so it was great.
You didn't prepare a speech in advance. Why was that?
I did prepare my thoughts, and I did put something in writing, but in the last minute, because every time I try to sit down and write, I will break down to cry, just reflecting back on different times of my career, but it was in a great way. So
right.
I actually, prior to me getting on the stage, I made a conscious decision not to look at Steve's museum while he was talking, because I was already tearing up, and I said, I don't want to see him. Yeah.
Very emotional. It's such a tremendous honor. Now, everyone that I told that we were going to have you on the show this morning, they all asked me the same question. Make sure you find out from him what he's doing now. So what are you up to? What are you doing?
Well, I'm involved in a couple different projects, and one of them actually for the Travers, I will be part of the broadcasting in Spanish. And at the same time, I am working in a new business, and I'm looking to really continue to expand, helping people, which is something that I have always been passionate about. So yeah, we're creating a big team in the network marketing industry, and it's going well. I'm excited about that.
You happy?
Very much so.
The injury cut short your career back in 2013. You didn't go back to the racetrack for a while, did you?
I did not. And honestly, if it wasn't for my wife, chances are that I would not be here with you right now, that I would not be coming to the track. It was difficult at first to come here for the obvious reasons, and my wife basically pulled me by the hair and said, we're going to the track. And I'm glad she did, because now it's not only easier, it is actually something that I do enjoy a lot, coming to the races and watching the races.
That's great. Let's talk about some of the younger jockeys now. We've got the Ortiz brothers in New York doing exceptionally well. You've got a young man like Florent Giroux in Kentucky doing exceptionally well. You've got Flavien Prat on the West Coast. What do you think of the young riders now?
It is amazing what the riding colony that we have right now. And when we think about the young riders, as you said, the Ortizes, Franco, it is incredible to have that many talented young riders in one place at one time or in one era. And they're just incredible. The things that they are doing at the stage of their career is something that it takes any other rider a decade to accomplish, to be able to do. So not only are they amazing out on the racetrack and have great skills, but they handle themselves extremely well, very respectful and great role models.
That's wonderful. Well, if you don't mind, we're going to take a look at a couple of races from the past. I mentioned Havre de Grace, 2011 Woodward. As we pick it up, she is number 6, third on the outside. Tell us what it was like to ride this wonderful filly.
She was amazing. She's a filly that will be able to get in a good position, and her trainer Larry Jones, who did a great conditioning with her, will tell me, like, for this race, I remember I said, Ramon, I know how you ride, I know how patient you are. You are on the best horse. Do not hesitate to push the button, so to speak, earlier than you would with another horse. So before the 3-8 pole, if you need to get going, do it, because she will not stop. And sure enough, I mean, she just continued going, and it is great if she was doing it even against the best female fillies, but these were the boys, and she just proved to be a very special filly.
Other than needing, obviously, the talent to be able to compete against boys, what else does a filly need to be able to be successful against males?
The mind for any horse, whether it's a filly or a colt, is extremely important. You have so many horses that have so much ability, but of course when it comes to handling the crowd, or in a big day especially, it's something that maybe they just get very stressed, and that will affect their performance. And that's one of the things that most great horses have, that they are able to really handle everything with ease, and she was no different. She was extremely professional. And of course, so much of it has to do with the horse itself, but also the trainer and the way they have been handled plays a significant role too, and they did an amazing job with her.
Well, the other race we're going to take a look at is when you scored your first of 3 Breeders' Cup victories for our next guest. Mr. Motion is here, ready to go. This is the 2004 Turf with Better Talk Now as we pick it up. 5th swinging to the far outside. What was it like to win your first Breeders' Cup race?
Hard to put into words the excitement and the type of emotions that go through you when you finally cross the wire and when the race, in this case, finally was official and you realize, wow, I just won a Breeders' Cup. I wasn't even thinking in terms of my first Breeders' Cup. It was just a huge deal to win one. And it was extremely special for me to do it with Graham Motion, who has been a great supporter. The trainer really gave me the opportunity to ride this caliber of horses when I wasn't really in a position where perhaps I could be perceived as I wasn't deserving of a horse like this. So that was very important to me. I could not have chosen a trainer at the time that I would want to get my picture taken with more than him when it comes to a Breeders' Cup. But prior to the segment that you show in the film, going to the half a mile pole, there was a moment that was very, very important, and that for me it was, I got goosebumps, and it's when Power scored the favor, made an early move and went for the leaders, and the leaders trying to keep their position, went with him, and I was in a position where I could choose, and I decided while they were going forward to take a hold of my horse, and I was smiling. I said, this is setting up better than I could have dreamed. And sure enough, turning for home, my horse responded extremely well, and we ended up winning the race.
And you ended up beating what has turned out to be an unbelievable sire in Kitten's Joy. That was a tremendous accomplishment. Every young rider needs somebody to help them out, and it sounds like Graham helped you out an awful lot.
Very much so. And it's great because, of course, he started helping me from the get-go with horses that were no stake horses yet. However, he didn't hesitate to give me the opportunity because he felt like he saw enough value in me where he could invest in really me as a rider, and he saw the potential, so to speak. So I'm will always be grateful for him supporting me and helping me, especially in my beginnings, and that continued throughout my career.
Well, congratulations. That is an incredible honor to be inducted into Racing's Hall of Fame. All congratulations. It's wonderful to see you. We're thrilled that you're happy with what you're doing and you're back visiting the racetrack. I know all the guys are probably thrilled to see you. So, Ramon, all congratulations, all the best. And we want to say thank you by giving you this $100 gift certificate to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill. It's at 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga. They're open for lunch and dinner every day beginning at 11:30. So take your family down and have a wonderful lunch on us. And again, all congratulations and all the best.
Excellent, thank you. I will have lunch because when I was riding, that's one meal that I didn't have. So I will enjoy now.
Thank you, Ramon.
Thank you.
Ramon Dominguez, ladies and gentlemen. We are up to our final break. When we return, the aforementioned Graham Motion will join us as we go to this break. The 2009 Breeders' Cup Classic, Zenyatta's first ever start against the boys, including Ramon Dominguez and Gio Ponti. Well, I think the boys wish she had stayed running against the girls. We'll take a look at the 2009 Classic to the break. Back with Graham Motion right after these messages.
Fields sent on their way in the Breeders' Cup Classic to the roar of the Santa Anita crowd. Regal Ransom bounced away quickly. Zenyatta is dead last. Zenyatta's dead last early. It's Regal Ransom going on. Gio Ponti, Einstein is right there. Colonel John in the white colours. Summerbird has the red cap in the vanguard too. Rip Van Winkle is on the outside and Twice Over racing right behind them. They tightly grouped and not in a big hurry out on the lead. Then it's Awesome Gem. Gio Ponti's back fourth last. Been followed then by Richard's Kid. Then comes Mind That Bird, and Zenyatta is dead last. Zenyatta last, got to be giving them about 10, 11 lengths start. They grow to the three-quarter pole now in the Classic, and it's Regal Ransom just setting a sensible pace, not in a big hurry out here. Rip Van Winkle now goes up second, and Colonel John scrapes the paint in third. Einstein's right there too. Girolamo, Whitecap far side. Here's Kent DeSormo and Summerbird. They 6 at the rail, just 5 off the leader. Then it comes twice over Awesome Gem, and Gio Ponti's giving them 7 length start. Then it's Richard's Kid. Now here's Zenyatta. Zenyatta is still a good 10-11 off the leaders. And then it's 4 back to Mind That Bird. A half mile to go now in the Classic, and still the leader is Regal Ransom, a length and a half. Rip Van Winkle being sent along after him. Then Colonel John. On the far side, Girolamo. Einstein is right there. Summerbird at the rail. Twice over is next. Then Awesome Gem. Gio Ponti's behind that. Then Richard's Kid. And now here's Zenyatta. And let's see. Zenyatta has a lot of ground to make up. Zenyatta, if she wins this, she'll be a super horse. She's starting to pick them off, though. Zenyatta going to hook to the outside. Meanwhile, it's Colonel John. Summerbird in the red cap. And Zenyatta's come to the outside. Zenyatta coming flying on the grandstand side. Gio Ponti on the inside. Summerbird is right there. This is unbelievable. Zenyatta, what a performance. One we'll never forget. Looked impossible, but it is Zenyatta, still unbeaten under Mike Smith. Gio Ponti second, Summerbird, and then Richard's Kid. What a dramatic performance. One of the most sensational ever.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Ramon Dominguez once again for having joined us, and the great Zenyatta for John Sheriffs and Mike Smith by a length over Ramon Dominguez and Gio Ponti. Ramon still shaking his head to win the 2009 Breeders' Cup Classic. Final guest this morning has been enjoying a fine Saratoga meet. Later on, he will send out Ring Weekend to challenge in the 4-star Dave. We are very pleased to welcome back to Down the Stretch, Mr. Graham Motion. Graham, nice to see you as always.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
4 winners at the meet, winning at a 25% clip. Won the Caress Stakes with Miss Ella. Been pretty good. Talk about it.
Yeah, we got off to a good start. I mean, I felt we had some fairly live chances coming up here, and it's nice when you can get those heads and noses. You know, it's so tough to win up here, but we had a couple good winners, paid big prices too.
Well, as you know, we just had Ramon on, and we showed the 2004 Breeders' Cup Turf. Better Talk Now. He had a lot of wonderful things to say about you. From your standpoint as a trainer, what made Ramon Dominguez so special?
Well, I think he gives me too much credit, because a lot of the reasons those horses did so well was because of Ramon. I mean, he had a great rapport with Better Talk Now. It wasn't any secret that he was not an easy horse to ride, and Ramon just had a really good knack with him. I think the only time I ever got upset with Ramon and Steve was when they couldn't go ride him in the Arlington Million one time, because it was so important that he rode the horse. He just wasn't a horse anybody could get on. So look, I benefited very well from the relationship. He also rode a mare called Confessional, who almost went undefeated, who was another one that Ramon had a a great rapport with. He just had a really good way of figuring horses out, and he looks like he could ride tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. He looks terrific. Well, later today, in the 4-Star Dave, you're going to run Ring Weekend. We're about to take a look at his next to last start in the Grade 1 Kilroe Mile. And as we pick it up, Ring Weekend is number 10. He's going to rally widest of all to win this. I said this was his second to last start. This was 17 months ago. What's been going on?
So after this race, you know, we were obviously very excited about him. We'd planned to point him for, I believe, the Dixie on Preakness Day, which is what we ran in this year, a year later.
Right.
He came up with a foot abscess that really just became a struggle to deal with. He ended up in New Bolton with it. We just basically had to give him a lot of time to get over this very nasty foot abscess. And I think it's going to be something we're always going to have to deal with a little bit. It's a weakness in the foot. We seem to have him where we want him right now, with special shoeing and what have you, but he's just not a horse that can race every month, you know. So, but I'm very pleased with how he's come up to this today.
Great decision to go out to California. I believe that was his first ever attempt in a Grade 1 on grass, and despite being fan wide turning for home, that was a big effort.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I guess coming in today, I just wish we probably could have had another start between now and the Dixie. You know, I hope we don't get too much rain. He handles soft turf, but you know, obviously when a horse is lightly raced, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage from a fitness point of view, running on a soft turf course. But he does handle it. I thought it cost him at Pimlico. He ran a big race that day. He's a good horse.
Let's take a look at it. Piece of the Dixie. Ring Weekend is number 9 in here. He's going to get caught on the line from between horses by fellow 4-Star Dave starter Takeover Target. Considering it was, well, 14 months between the Kilroe and this race, overall, what'd you think of the effort?
Yeah, it was a tough beat. I thought we were home free. I just think, like I say, I think the fitness got to him a little bit the last few strides. It was very soft that day. I mean, I almost considered scratching him. We had to ship very early that morning because of the big crowd, and I considered not running him, but I thought he showed a lot of heart in running the way he did, and we're just about to get beat here. That was brutal. That was a tough beat. I'm very fond of this horse.
It sounds like it, but is it an ongoing situation with the feet, something you're dealing with day after day after day?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was a nasty abscess, but we have him doing well right now. It's just one of those things you never quite know when it's going to reoccur.
So the weather forecast for this afternoon, I guess beginning at about 3 o'clock, the chances of rain increase. From your standpoint, you would prefer it to be as firm as possible?
I'd prefer it to be. I just don't want it to be real soft.
Real soft.
Bottomless. It was verging on being bottomless that day at Pimlico. So I would rather it wasn't super soft. He'll handle a little give in the ground, no problem.
I do recall him handling a little give in the ground in the past.
No, he won on Belmont on softish ground. He's handled it before. It's more of a fitness thing.
The rest of the meet, what's exciting for you? What are you going to be sending out that we should keep an eye out for?
You know, I hope to get back up here with Miss Temple City, maybe take on Lady Eli in the Boston Spa. She's doing great. That was a tough beat for her. I think she got beaten less than a length in the Grade 1.
Finished fourth. Less than a length.
You know, I feel bad for her. Last 2 races, she's finished off the board, and she's been beaten not very far in really competitive races. So she's really doing well. She breezed while I was home this week. I worked a filly called Tiger Ride this morning on the track here, and she worked well enough. I think I'm going to point her for the Summer Colony, I believe, next weekend. It might be Monday. It's a restricted stake on the dirt. She's been running on the grass, but I'm excited about running her.
Well, as always, we appreciate your time. We're so glad you were able to stop by. We wish you all the best with Ring Weekend later this afternoon in the 4-Star Dave. We wish you the best for all the rest of the meet. And we want to say thank you by giving you this $100 gift certificate to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill. It's at 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga. They're open for lunch and dinner every day, beginning at 11:30. So whenever you have time, take that on us and enjoy a nice lunch.
Terrific. It's a great spot.
It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Graham Motion, ladies and gentlemen. Before we leave you this morning, let's take a look at the upcoming stake schedule over the next week here at Saratoga. The 4-Star Dave in the Adirondack this afternoon. Tomorrow, the Saratoga Special. The Saratoga Dew for New York Breds on Monday. Wednesday's the Bolton Landing, Thursday the Union Avenue, Friday the Skidmore, then next Saturday the Songbird Invitational, otherwise known as the Alabama, as well as the Troy Songbird Breeze this past Tuesday, and breezed very, very well. If she moves forward even a little bit from the coaching club, they're all running for second money. You got anybody in the Alabama?
No, I wish, but she's a great filly to watch. Really exciting filly.
She is really an exciting filly. So there's the stakes lineup over the next week here at Saratoga. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's show on the air. Here on the backstretch at Saratoga, our associate producer Julie Hoxie, as well as Brian Dorenzo and Mick Richards. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed, handled pre-production, Pete Persico on audio. Thanks to this morning's guests, Graham Motion, Ramon Dominguez, and Steve Asmussen. And thanks to our sponsors, Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. They've had 2 victories at the meet. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. You can call them locally at 587-5550 or toll free at 877-722-3946. And our guest segments have been sponsored by Jacob and Anthony's American Grill at 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner beginning at 11:30. And as always, thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. Enjoy this weekend. Have a wonderful upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.